In his 1990 statement, the Lord Advocate continued,
"The revolver was recovered by police on the 7th of April 1985 from a burn directly below where the driver's door of the car had been. I wish further to emphasize the position of the gun when recovered. It was not found some distance from Mr. Macrae's car, as has been reported."
I remember an interview in Dundee with a deputy fiscal who was interviewing me on behalf of Mr. Aitchison at that time, in 1986, I think. And that was after the investigation was reopened, remember, due to public pressure. I remember him telling me that one of the crosses on a particular photograph was where the gun was found, and that was some way south of the car, facing towards Loch Lyon itself. On top of that, you've got to remember that when we were removing Macrae's body from the car, the policeman's hat tumbled into the burn below the driver's door, and I retrieved that hat personally. And if the gun was found directly below the car, then I certainly didn't see it. I wasn't looking for it, obviously, because we thought it was a simple car crash. But there were 6 or 7 people there that day, and I dare say there were innumerable members of the constabulary there later on that day. We found him at 10:30. So if you're trying to tell me that all these people couldn't have seen the gun before 10:30 the next morning, that takes some believing.
and you're more inclined to believe the evidence of the photograph shown to you by the Procurator Fiscal's assistant, which showed the gun, or the position of the gun, as being some, what, 20, 30, 40 yards away?
I've no reason to doubt it. I mean, neither he nor I are in the game to make up stories about where the gun was found, and I distinctly remember that part.
2.2 pistols are not a terribly powerful gun, but even a powerful gun, after it was fired, would simply drop to the ground.
So if a gun was found a considerable distance away, it would have had to have been taken or thrown?
I would have thought so, yes.
And if the person had done it was brain dead and could not throw it, could you think of an explanation?
I can't think of any explanation other than that some other party must have been involved.
Scottish Eye has spoken to a senior police source central to the investigation. He claims that Macrae shot himself while driving along the road. He says the car then spun off at speed and rolled several times, during which the gun fell out. That contradicts the Lord Advocate's implied scenario that Macrae crashed while drunk, then shot himself and dropped the gun. But it does appear to support the suicide theory. Or does it? If Macrae was brain dead when he left the road, how did the pile of papers come to be some 20 feet from the car?
Well, I wouldn't like to say why it was there, but it was, you know, it was there, and it was in a tidy, compact bundle. It wasn't as if the paper was flying all over the place. It was... somebody had put it there.
And if he shot himself after the car had crashed, how did the gun apparently come to be some considerable distance away? But perhaps the most significant question is this. We know from his friends he left Glasgow in a buoyant mood. It does not seem he intended to kill himself then. So why was he carrying a gun in the first place? What was he frightened of? There is also an argument about the site of the incident. Michael Strathern and Peter Finlay say it took place where stands the official cairn. Coutts disagrees. He maintains it took place more than a mile to the southeast. The confusion over the site matters. Coutts' site is here, a few hundred yards south of the border between the Lochaber and Inverness districts. And different districts mean different sets of legal authorities. According to those authorities, the car was found about 25 yards off the road at the site marked by the official cairn. But Coutts insists the car was much further from the road. We contacted Alan Crowe, the Australian tourist first on the scene. A completely independent witness, indeed he was unaware that Macrae had been shot until we told him, he says the Volvo was more than 100 yards off the road and he needed to use his binoculars to look at it. Significantly, he also says that the tyre marks indicated that the car had not left the road at speed. As if the story was not bizarre enough, Scottish Eye has spoken to 2 breakdown truck operators, one based in Fort Augustus and one based in Inverness. Both separately insist that it was their company which recovered the maroon Volvo belonging to Macrae. Debris collected by Michael Strathern on his site includes a radiator grille. Yet another close friend of Macrae, who did not want to appear in this programme, also collected debris, including a radiator grill. So now we have no less than 2 sites, 2 breakdown trucks, and 2 sets of debris. We asked Northern Constabulary if there had, by some extraordinary coincidence, been a second accident involving a maroon Volvo in the area. They declined to answer. 2 years after Macrae's death, the Scottish National Party asked its president, Winnie Ewing MEP, herself a respected lawyer, to conduct an inquiry into the death of its former vice-chair. Her investigations took a year, but persistent requests for access to Crown Office files were denied. Eventually, in her final report, Mrs. Ewing concluded,
I regret I cannot, as I hoped, say to the National Executive Council that I am satisfied that Willie did commit suicide.
Willie Macrae died on Sunday the 7th of April 1985. In life, this remarkable man attracted fierce loyalty and fierce enmity. In death, he still creates controversy. But for his friends, the questions remain.
I don't know whether the peculiar things happened before Willie was shot or whether they happened after Willie was shot, but it just doesn't add up. And I'm surprised that police and inquiries and everybody else have accepted this, you know, as somebody committing suicide. Oh, no, it's all wrong, totally wrong, the whole situation.
Scottish Eye returns in a fortnight's time.